Hey guys, I'm on the top of my bunk. I just finished a delivery and I have the rest of the day off and tomorrow, so it's like a day and a half. I'm trying to organize this mess that I haven't been able to fix. So I just got a bunch of stuff up here that I'm trying to fold. So I said, while I'm sitting here, let me just make a quick video. I had made this video a while back. I think it was almost a year ago. And I was talking about understanding personalities, people's personalities. I hope I sound loud enough. I forgot to do a mic check. Ugh. But when you're dating, or like when you're, this kind of like works for all the time, but when you're dating, you shouldn't, how you say, they don't put enough emphasis when you're trying to get to know people on like what type of questions. Excuse me. Don't try to stop me from talking. They don't put enough emphasis on the right questions to ask people, and they make it sound like, oh, you can't ask certain questions, but that's the whole point about it. You should ask particular questions, like the personality traits, you know, your regular personality traits, like are you reliable, are you flexible, are you an adaptable person, are you open, are you rigid, are you closed off? These are things that you can sense, and then you ask the person like, well, tell me about your personality, what type of traits do you have? But there's something called the states. It's like how what's going on with my throat? How do you act under certain conditions? High stress, calm conditions. Like some people don't really like peaceful environments. Like they don't like quietness. They get anxious. You know what I mean? So like when you go on a date, there's certain questions that you should ask. I gotta get these wrinkles out. I hate when I had just thrown everything in the bins and it's just a hot mess. So like, let's say you go on a date with a guy or a girl, right? And everything seems to be going good. And then all of a sudden y'all get stuck in like traffic. And this person starts raging out. I mean like abnormally raging out, to the point where you're like, am I better off just walking on this highway than being in the car with this psycho? So that's a state. That's a state of that person, how they act in particular situations. This is important to understand because now you know exactly what you're getting into. So how would you know? It's like you could ask them certain questions like, how would you act if a beautiful woman came up to you while we were on a date and tried to flirt with you? What would you do? It kind of gives you an idea of like, do they react quickly? Do they think quick on their feet? That's not a right or wrong question. It's just you trying to get a better understanding of how people act in certain situations. You know what I mean? Like, what would you do if I forgot my wallet at home and me and you was on a date and you really feeling me? This is the guy asking the girl now. And you really feeling me, but you're not sure if I'm trying to scam you. Would you just cut me off? Would you, you know what I mean? Like, give that person an opportunity to answer the question, or you could give them, how you say, multiple choice question answer. Like, hey, what would you do? Would you do A or B? I remember back in the day, you know, I'm old school. I'm 50 years old. So they had this show called The Love Connection. And people that are old heads, they know what I'm talking about. And The Love Connection, there was other dating shows. I don't remember all the names. And The Love Connection, they would ask questions like, they will have the guys come out and you'll see them like on a Zoom, like it was like a video of the guys, and then the actual physical person will be sitting next to the co-host or the host, and they will say, guy number one, if this woman was to say yes to you, what would your first date look like? And this kind of gives you an idea if this person is like romantic, or if they're like thoughtful, or if they're just like a basic person, you know what I mean? Then they will ask intuitive questions. You're in the car and it's dark and somebody comes to your date's window. How would you react? Would you be Would you get in protective mode? Like these type of questions. And it kind of gives you an idea of like, now some people are not good at answering questions on the fly, so it doesn't mean that's not part of their, you know, it's not part of their personality. It's just like, you're not going to ask these people all the questions on one date. This is just like, as you get to know the person, you're not asking them just the questions, you're actually observing them. You're observing their state of being. So when I make a video, you only see me in a state of making a video. So you see me in a state of like thought, maybe like analyzing, or like right now you see me a little flustered because I'm fixing and organizing, right? But you don't see me morning, noon, and night. You know what I mean? Like, you might wake up to a guy or a girl that you've been dating for a while, you know, if y'all got to the next level, and they wake up and they don't like to say good morning. Like, their whole state of being is like, they didn't even sleep with you the night before. They acting like they don't even know you. Some people be like that. They're not morning people. They're not friendly. Whatever demons was on them the night before. And sometimes you might release demons that this person bought from other people they slept with. You know how that saying go, how many bodies you got on you, right? That's a real true situation when it comes to the spirit realm. Like, people bring in other people's demons. So now you done slept with this person, and then they acting different. And you're like, what's up with your state of being? You don't seem like the same person that I went to bed with. You know what I mean? So these are things that you got to be aware of when you're getting to know people, especially like when you're dating somebody, that you don't rush it, because it'll seem nice in the honeymoon stage. The honeymoon stage is usually like, 30 days to 90 days. Sometimes people will show you they state of being right away, and that'd be a blessing, because you could be like, deuces. So you just gotta like, I was talking to this guy one time, a truck driver, just having a conversation, and of course it turns into flirting on his behalf. I don't want to say of course. The reason why I said of course was because he was giving that kind of like, that vibe. He wasn't straight up like, hey, I like you, but he was giving the vibe of like checking me out, because he kept saying, I can't believe your age. Oh my God, I can't believe you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he was like, the way you look, your body, you don't even need a BBL or nothing. And he was like, you must be all natural. Like, where they find you at? Just, just giving compliments. But we had, he had helped me, because I was at a shipper and it was really dark. I couldn't even see. So he had got out his truck and he, he helped me out. And then we were just chit-chatting. And then he was saying things like, just saying things that gave me the inclination of his state of being. Like, he had a little baby and they were talking on the Zoom. So I said, oh, she's so cute. But in my mind, I'm like, you look kind of old to be having a 1-year-old, I'm trying to judge, but dang, don't you know how to wrap it up? So I'm assuming he's married, because I'm like, okay, he looks like an older gentleman. He has a young baby. I don't think he'd be making mistakes at the age of 45, 50, because he look about 45, 50. So then he was like, I said, yeah, you got a baby? He was like, yeah, kind of like, how you say, yeah, like I fucked up. So he was like, yeah. I said, oh, okay, she's cute. I didn't want to say anything that wasn't like, he wasn't going to volunteer. But then he volunteered. He was like, yeah, I hope that's my only one. No, I think I asked him, I said, is that your only child? And he was like, yeah, so far, or as far as I know. When he said that, I was like, those are not type of, anyways. Then he was saying how, he's always chasing the money, and he's getting tired. And I was like, see, that's another thing when you could tell. I'm not saying you shouldn't chase money, but you could tell sometimes when a person doesn't have like a holistic view of life. They be chasing that bag, and every conversation they have like a materialistic mindset on how they look at life. So he probably was sort of a late bloomer, because he was like, yeah, I was out here, basically saying he was slinging ding-a-ling. You know what I mean? At least he was honest. Then he was saying how his family always using him for money, So I was like, oh, and you have toxic family members that you ain't cut off yet. I see. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things will tell you red flags. So it's up to you to keep pushing forward when people tell you how their situation is, what state of mind they are. Now, state of mind is not the same as a state. A state that I'm talking about is in psychology. States mean, what does a person's personality look like in particular situations? That will tell you their state. Now, the state is usually pattern wise, it's usually similar in each situation. So like if you're with a person for a long time, like, you know, husbands and wives be together, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and they've been with this person for so long, they already know how this person is going to react in a certain state, in a certain situation. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, my wife, she ain't gonna be having that. She's not gonna like that. And you're like, well, how do you know? She didn't even try it yet. Because I know how my wife gets in these type of situations. She don't like surprise parties. If you throw her a surprise party, she's gonna get upset. That's a state. So that's like saying this person doesn't like surprises, or this person prefers predictability situations. They may be a spontaneous person naturally, but in their state of being, they may have anxiety or something. They don't like things just switching up. They like a routine type schedule. Even though, the thing about it, even though I got anxiety, I like spontaneity. I don't like always this rigid routine on life. I'm a very spontaneous person. So that could be considered a state. But I just wanted to chit chat with y'all a little bit. That's really all I had to say. Is when you're meeting people, it's not good to take it as, it's not good to, I'm out of breath because it's kind of warm up here and I'm up on the top of the ladder. It's important, it's imperative, if you're trying to find like your soulmate or, you know, your forever person, take your time. Because what could look good on the first to third, fourth date could turn into a nightmare. Now, sometimes it is good that a person shows you different perspective of life, right? So it doesn't mean that because they got some stuff going on that is a bad thing, because you could learn about yourself through other people. You could learn like how to communicate better. You might be an impulsive person and this person slow as molasses, and then y'all come together and the weaknesses offset the strengths. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes differences can commingle and actually become better. So it could be their shadow side, or it could just be things about them that's different. That could actually be a benefit to your life, because it allows you to see things differently. Because sometimes when you're too rigid in your perspective, you don't get blessings, your life don't expand, you don't get that growth that's needed to get to the next plateau. So sometimes Allah will send you a person that's way different. Like you could be conservative and they might be eccentric, you know what I mean? Or a hobo type of, not hobo, what's that word? Where people are very earthly, very naturally, and you may not vibe with that. They might be like, hey, let's go outside barefoot and ground our feet. And you're like, what? I'm going to work. So it's like, it's about opening your mind. But when especially when you're older, you really don't have a lot of time to waste, because, you know, you got more time behind you than in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So you really got to be careful and take your time getting to know people. And this is with friendships too. When you're getting friends, because you don't know, this person you might think they're good and cool and calm and collected, and then you put them in a particular situation. Now, I'm not saying people can't get mad, because there's certain situations you do got to be somewhat assertive or aggressive to let people know you're not the 1, the 2, or the 3 to play with, right? But if this person is utilizing that default setting for every situation y'all go into, that's a red flag. That's not a person you want to deal with, because you will be next. The way they might deal with those people, they'll deal with you that same way. So it's important that you ask these specific questions. Have like a, I can't wait till I really start making real videos, like where I'm showing y'all graphs and stuff on, you know, building constructs for your life, because you got to get intentional when you're meeting people. You got to get intentional when you're dating, especially when you get older. You can't, because now you're looking for like a life companion. You can't play around no more. You can't be looking at the person's booty cheeks or the guy's print pants, you know, the pants print and all this madness, right? I mean, it looked good, but you don't want that to be the default on how y'all hooked up. You know what I mean? So like some online dating, I haven't online dated in like maybe about 10 years, 11 years. I don't remember, but that was back in the day when they had a Black Planet. What was it? Black Planet. And it was a lot of different ones. And they used to make, what I liked about the old school dating websites was they made you interact through music and stuff like that. So you had to like say your favorite song. You know, what if you had 3 places you could go out and have fun, what would those 3 places be? It gives you an idea of what that person likes. Nowadays they just want to know how much money you make, how tall or how short you are. And I think that's the most superficial shit. Oh, hold on. The bandage on my foot keeps coming off because I'm on a ladder. My foot has healed, but it's still how you say, it's making scar tissue underneath the wound. So like it still hurts when I try to like move my foot a certain type of way, because the nerve must have got cut. What was I saying? I think that's such a superficial thing to build a relationship on how tall a person is. I'm just like, so you telling me if a guy is 5'7", he can't be the man of your dreams? Like make that make sense to me. I understand you don't want nobody like a midget. Like you don't want, I'm not, okay, I shouldn't say that word because that's an actual thing. People are short. They call them the short people, right? Little people. But you could just say, okay, I'm not attracted particularly to super short men, but they will not be off the radar. So when you go on these dating sites, you don't want to put a limit on these type of things. Like when it says, pick the men of your, like, they'll say, how should I say it? They'll give you like, do you want an athletic sized person or average or a little chubby? Put the little chubby, because I'm not saying settle for less, like somebody that don't even care about their weight. I'm saying like the person that's a little chubby, they may be really nice and really good looking as far as like everything else, and they may have hit that to describe themselves, but then you'll see them and they don't really look that chubby. They don't look fat. So you're like, man, why did you hit little chubby, a little bit chubby? And he's like, well, I didn't consider myself athletic and I didn't really consider myself average, so I just felt like clicking that one. And you now lost out on a good person because you only put only athletic men or only athletic built women. And it's like, but what if the athletic built women on that site is all vain or not nice people? They all about self. They want to know how much you could do for them, but they don't really think about what they could do for other people. Like, why limit yourself? When you're at a certain age, you should know by now what you want from a person. So these are the things that you got to look at past personality traits. You got to look at the state of a person, how they act in situations, their traits, and of course their goals and desires. You want some, if you're a type of person, you're content with your life the way it is, you're not trying to do no more, you get your social security check, you go buy your little booze, and that's all you want out of life. Don't go picking an entrepreneur that wants to be a millionaire. I'm just saying, let's be reasonable, because now when this person wants to travel the world and you want to just sit on the porch and drink beer, y'all have 2 different states of mind. We got to be realistic when we're picking people. We got to understand, what are you willing to offer? What is your deal breakers? Like, you got to split them up in different compartments. If you have deal breakers versus adaptables. If you know, I don't like let's say some people wash their chicken in the sink without no pot, without no sanitizer, and you're like, man, That's a deal breaker for me. You put that chicken in the sink, we done. And then some people might be like, well, I don't care as long as you wash the sink after. It's not a big deal. That could be an adaptable. So these are questions you want to ask a person when you go out. Hey, I'm just a little curious. How do you cook your food? How do you sterilize? Are you really into sterilization? Are you OCD? Are you more of a laid back person where you don't really clean the house? You clean the house maybe once a week, twice a week. What is your style of living? These are things you need to know, because this is a person you're going to spend potentially majority of your time with and the rest of your life. I've lived with people all my life. I can cohabitate with anybody. But when it comes to my mate, I want to be happy. I don't want to just cohabitate with you and deal with the stuff that I know I don't like. Like, you just tolerating a person. That's a horrible thing. And you don't even want to go home because you're like, man, I got to tolerate this person. They play music at 2, 3 in the morning while I'm trying to get sleep. Or they slamming dishes and they don't even care that I just fell asleep from a hard days of work. You want somebody that is considerate. Now, if you know you're not a considerate person, you damn near are a freaking narcissist, then that shouldn't matter. But even with those type of people, they're so rigid, they themselves like things a certain type of way. If you know you are set in your way, that means that is your state. You are set in your way. You don't like things out of place. You're a certain type of way. You need to start telling people these things up front. Don't waste 15 years of your life for a person to say, I can't stand the ground you stand on from the day we fucked. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that. You don't want to waste no more time. If you are over 40, you need to get your shit together and figure out what you want. Now, I learned my lesson. I already did. But now moving forward, we're not going to sit up here and cry over spilled milk. We're not going to do that, right? I've learned my lesson enough to say, thank you, Allah, because you have taught me a different side of me. Had you not been through the things you've been through, as far as like the bad breakups, the situationships, the one night stands, whatever you've been through, whether it's drugs and alcohol, anything that has allowed you to survive it, you need to be grateful and start thanking the Lord. Because now you can have a new insight, a new foresight on what you want, because a lot of these old relationships is here to teach you about yourself. Because you're thinking, oh, that person is a bad person because they knew they was going to do this to me. Yeah, we know that. They potentially knew that they were out there to scam you or to hurt you or whatever. But at the end of the day, it still allowed you a lesson that actually improved and made you grow. You see what I'm saying? And with that growth, you can now pursue your goals in a whole new way of thinking, a whole new perspective. But if you're going out there, ain't learned your lesson, you still picking up the same type of weird people that you knew that you didn't like to begin with, then you ain't learned your lesson. And you're going to be stuck in the same state of mind, the same mental prison, the same bogus bullshit. So just be thankful that you are allowed to get out of that situation. You might be a little bruised and wounded, but you get back up. Never give up. Never give up. Because when you give up, that's saying that you ain't learned the lesson that was supposed to be taught. You could take a break. If you're saying, okay, well, I don't like people, I don't like dating no more, fine. But never allow the last person that fucked you over to be the person that changed your whole perspective on life. That means that person done ciphered your energy and ciphered your willpower. That willpower is unbreakable, but you got to know that about yourself. You got to know that your willpower is unbreakable. Everybody's willpower level is at a different state based off of how they think, how they feel, how they view life, what they've been through, all of that. But you can build your willpower just like a skill set. It's like a talent. If you want it, you could build it. But you got to have sustainability. You got to have sustainability to increase willpower. And how do you do that? The buffalo runs through the storm. The cow runs with the storm. The cow is the weaker willpower. Because when you run with the storm, it's going to beat you up through the whole way of the storm. It's going to beat you down. But if you run to the eye of the storm, you can conquer it quicker and it'll be done faster. So the buffalo is considered stronger than the cow as far as in that metaphor, right? You got to be the buffalo. When a storm is around, you have to tackle it. You can't keep running from your problems. You can't keep running from things that you are afraid of. And a lot of psychology assessments and strategies, they discovered that when you go towards the fear, that's how you get numb to the fear. You tackle the fear. There's a program called Scared Straight, where they put people in these scenarios, and the scenarios is so scary. I know it sounds crazy, but that's a real thing. The scenarios are so crazy that it scares the person out of the fear. So let's say it's a phobia. They'll put this person in a scenario like running through the woods from a serial killer or something like that. So they'll make a whole scenario where it's a fake serial killer, and this person is so scared, and then they finally make it out of that situation that alcohol is not even something they think about no more, because they're so grateful that they made it away from that. And then they'll find out later on in life that the scenario was fake. I got to do the statistics on how well that works, but statistically proven it works in some situations to help people with phobias. So I say that to say, when people get knocked down in dating and in relationships and in marriages, they tend to let that energy attach to them like a succubine. And then that energy goes with them every cycle, every relationship. I know it's, well, if you want to put it in psychological terms, it's PTSD. But if you want to put it in energy terms, like frequency, it's an energy that attaches to you, that you take with you, and you have now identified yourself with that energy. So they'll identify themselves as the person that got abused by their husband, or the person that just broke up with their husband or their wife, that got cheated. Like, I got cheated on. It's like they identify their title as a broken person or a damaged person. You got to stop doing that. You got to get that energy to transform into newness. Newness is what is going to make you now go into a new situation with a new profound mind. It's like you got to be reborn, rebirth. Now they say the Scorpio, which is me, a Scorpio. I know some people not into astrology, but whatever. They say that we regenerate all the time. We reborn, we go through the death cycle, and then we come out, retransform. Because Scorpios are attracted to, I gotta say it a certain way. We're not attracted to it, but we're not afraid of going to the depths to figure out some shit. If we gotta go, this is a lot of Scorpios. It's not all Scorpios, because some Scorpios are not reborn. They're still in the lower density realm of least transformation. So they go away from anything that can make them feel like they got to do some work. We're not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones that really understand what I'm saying. We will go through the depth of something because we want to find out the truth of everything. Like, what is it going to take for this to work? What is it going to take for this to stop, or whatever, right? So if it means going down to the depths of hell or depths of darkness or wherever we got to go to find the truth, a Scorpio will not be afraid of it. We will go through the emotions of it. Scorpios rule the emotions. So if you're a Scorpio and you ever wonder why you're so intense, it's because you are the ruler of emotions. So that means you have the key to open up people's life or death when it comes to their emotions. So you have to be very careful with that type of power. You don't want to trigger people to do something crazy. Whether it's to get angry, I had to learn that as I got older, like, be careful how you make people feel. Because Scorpios rule feelings. We rule operation on how we make people feel. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like we rule transformation. So when a person gets to really know a Scorpio, most people will say, I've been transformed, whether it's good or bad. A Scorpio will affect you mentally, emotionally, to the depth of you. Because we're going to search the depth of you to see if we really want to fuck with you or not. So when we're in a relationship, Some people are afraid of that depth, and they'll say, you know what, I like you, but you intense. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want to see more, but I'm scared, like, you know, because when that stinger come out, sometimes that Scorpio stinger, it could really hurt your feelings, you know. And that's another thing that Scorpios, if they're a negative Scorpio, they could hurt people's feelings real bad. So that's another thing, like knowing yourself, knowing what you're capable of, the state of mind that you get into in certain situations. If you know that you're emotional, like me as a Scorpio, if I'm emotional, I'm not going to get with somebody that's super emotional, that doesn't have regulation of their emotions. And I'm also not going to get with somebody that doesn't feel emotions, that's like emotionally unavailable. You got to know, like, okay, this person may not tell you on a first, second, third date, hey, I'm emotionally unavailable. But if you ask them certain questions like, hey, what would you do if I was to kiss you or something like that, and they start acting all like creepy, then you know they got a problem with their emotions. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are things that you got to get deep with when you're really trying to get to know people. And this is why people are struggling with getting to know people, is because they feel like they got to fit a certain criteria in order to get to the bottom of some shit. Just ask the question. Just tell the person, like, oh, I'm worried about, well, if they're going to judge me if I tell them that I only make 40K. They going to need to know anyway, so why not just make that the blueprint on keeping it real with a person. I'm not saying on the first date you got to be like, hey, I got problems with my phone bill. My car note's due and I ain't paid yet, so if you want to leave this date right now because I'm a little bit poor. That's not what I'm saying. You know, you still got to come off attractive. If you know you got your shit together but you going through something right now, on a second and third date, if they start asking about income, you could say, you know, I got my shit together, but right now I'm just going through a little something, you know, like we all do. And if this person is too superficial to not understand that, that may not be somebody that's going to be your ride or die. That's not going to be somebody that you could consider a life partner if they can't see that everybody goes through problems. You see what I'm saying? And then you could ask that question like, well, how do you feel about, you know, people coming together? First of all, this is how I look at money. When you with a person, they should already have their shit together. I'm just saying. That's just me, because that's how I look at life. If you coming into a situation and you got to fully take care of a person, that might be a question you might need to ask yourself. Why are you picking people that you got to take care of? Now, every situation is customized. I'm not saying that. This person might naturally be prepping to become a doctor, so they may not have money right this minute. I'm not talking about that. That means that that person actually do got their shit together. They just have to get to a process to get where they got to go. And that process is to start at school or something like that. You know what I mean? But if they don't have a clue of how they're going to get from point A to point B, and they in their late 30s or some shit, and they still trying to figure out, well, damn, my Uber bill, you know, I drive Uber, but I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent next week. And my baby daddy, he don't give me no money. And I've been doing this for 2 years. I don't plan on going to school. I don't want to drive nobody's truck. Nope, I don't want to drive. I don't want to flip no Burke. And you're like, so you're just gonna keep complaining, and then you expect me to come in and take care of you at this point? And they're like, well, you know, a man's supposed to do that anyway. And it's like, yeah, but I want to do it for somebody that I know can do it for me if necessary. Like, you got to look at it that way. But overall, if two people are coming together, especially if they're grown, I mean grown, like 50, 40, y'all both should have your shit together. I'm just saying, what you been doing with yourself all these years, right? And then you get mad. Like, you got some people that get mad that the person says, nah, I would prefer a person that got their shit together. I have standards. But then you'll have some people that their standards are so obnoxious. It's like, I want somebody making $400,000, right? But then they never ever in their life touch 400K. But they want other people to touch it and give it to them. energy vampires. And then they'll come into the person's life and don't contribute as far as uplifting or building them up or helping build the business from 400K to maybe $1 million, like with that guy, Kim, what's her name? Damn, it's at the tip of my tongue. Kim Kaur. I know her name is, the last name is Kaur. She got married to this rapper that got locked up. What is his name? Gucci Mane's wife. He said the reason why I really rock with her and I fell in love with her, he was like, I was already in love with her, but what made me know that she was the one was when I got locked up, I gave her, I think he said he gave her like 400,000 or $500,000 or something like that, and she flipped that money into like 4 million with her makeup brand. And when he got out of prison, she gave him half of that. I think she gave him like 2 mil. So it's like, he said she didn't take the money and run. She was a boss mindset. And that's what I needed in a wife, was somebody that was going to grow my money and allow me to see that they're not just going to drown me in problems. Because your partner is supposed to be able to get you to another level in life. Not saying that they got to have money, because money is not the route to manifestation. It's your mindset and your creativity that's going to get you to manifest. Because the dude might have money but don't have no creativity, and then his wife come along and be like, yo, I know of an idea that can make that money grow. So it's all about picking a person that gets your drive, that gets your motivation. If you pick a person and every time you get into a conversation about manifestation with them and they looking at you cross-eyed, that person is a hater. They're either a hater or a energy vampire. They just want you to do all the manifestation, all the creativity, all the work, and bring in the income, and lay it down in the bed, and keep the house. That's too much. You might as well do that shit by your fucking self. And that's what I had to come to learn. When you pouring too much into people that's just draining and energy vampires, you will find your creativity sink to an all-time low. That's what took me a long time in these years of life to get on the path that I am today. But it took me a long time because I didn't realize people were siphoning my energy and hating on it too at the same damn time. But it's about to get hot up here. You see me sweating. Let me hurry put these clothes away. But the video, sorry, I went off to another tangent, but it all encompasses the same thing when it comes to learning people, understanding what you want out of your life, what you want out of your love life. These are important things because your love life can affect your finances if it's not on park. It's all in one. It's all a part of who you are. Who you love is a part of who you are. So you want to make sure you're loving on the right person. And that right person is going to allow those blessings and those manifestations just to come in even more abundantly because they're going to be on the same type of energy as you, and y'all both going to manifest together. That's how that shit works. But anyways, I got to go. I'll try to get back on here. I might not do it tomorrow because tomorrow I'm doing braids in my hair. So I'm going to be busy all day on my only day off. But I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe. All right, bye.